We did it, y'all. Aaron watched the movie.
Woo!
The whole movie.
He watched The Crow. The trailer for the new Crow movie made him that much curious that he had to watch it. Hey, Aaron, how we doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm good. I got a lot to say about the OG Crow from '94. So, and get into it.
Leo, what up?
What's going on?
Brooklyn Way, Big Chase.
He did it. My guy.
Texas, Wendeezy. How it goes it?
You can't rain all the time.
Can't rain all the time.
We got him. All right. Well, as always, it's the Man Cave 101 podcast where we talk all things nerdy. And today it was yesterday, it was Aaron's first time watching the 1994 Brandon Lee spectacular version of The Crow. Hit him, Aaron.
All right.
Tell him how you feel.
I'm just going to start here. So first off, I want to say for a movie from '94, to me, this movie still holds up. Like it was a good movie, start to finish. I was interested. It was dark. It was very dark, which I enjoyed. You know, it's cool. The second thing I want to say is obviously the performance by Brandon Lee. Whoa. Like I can understand why people are so territorial when it comes to this movie and title. I can fully understand people's gripes with any new remakes or reimaginings coming out, which I'll talk about more at the end. So I guess I'll just kick it off from the very beginning. So not to compare the two right off the bat, but to me, the initial death scene of everything that happened in the apartment was so crazy compared to the one we got in the latest trailer. I was like, first off, I couldn't believe the things they were showing. Then I was like, 1994. Got it. They could show more things back then, obviously. So I was like, all right, cool. I got it. Understood where it's going. But yeah, that was brutal. And then they kicked my man out the window. I was like,
the window.
I was like, oh, I kicked dude out the window. Like, that's fucking insane. At that point, then, I'm not going to lie to you all, I was a little confused as to the power, how it worked, this, that, and the other thing. I was trying to kind of get a grasp as to like what was this like, and maybe you guys could help me out with this because maybe I missed some lore at some point along the way. But like, I was trying to get like, okay, what is the Crow? Like, what is the Crow's power, right? And I was like, okay, obviously he was taking bullets like a motherfucker throughout the whole thing. So I was like, all right, he's obviously can't be killed as long as I assume the Crow is on him. Question mark?
As long as the Crow was alive.
As long as the Crow was alive, he couldn't be killed.
The Crow brought him back.
Okay, right.
Everything he went through, you saw like it was all just like a realization as to who he was and what he could do. So, that first time after he, went back to the apartment.
He
grabbed the thing and he saw his hands heal. He was like, what the hell?
Yeah, he figured out, right.
Like, I thought... I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As what?
No. As long as the Crow was there, he was okay because it was what brought his spirit back to this plane.
Right. Yeah, I remember. I haven't watched it in a while, but watching it for the first time, like I thought one of the cooler parts is, as you said, you were kind of confused. You didn't know what was going on. Neither did he. He didn't know what was going on. So like you're literally taking the ride with him in the movie, which is I loved that they did that. I thought that was one of the cooler parts of the movie, that you're just on this ride. Yeah.
So, if you remember, and I can never remember his name. So in DC Comics, there is a wizard that Dr. Fate fights who has a cat, and the cat is the kind of the source of his power. Like the way that they defeat him is if you capture the cat, because the cat is what sustains his life force. So the Crow is similar in that, because the Crow is the power that brought him back. The Crow's job is to take the soul from the living to the dead, but sometimes something goes wrong, so the Crow brought him back and whatnot. So as long as the Crow is near on him or about him, or is just plainly alive, he can continue on with whatever mission he has to correct.
Is that Clarion the Witch Boy?
Yeah,
is that
Clarion. Yeah, Clarion.
Well, see, none of that was really clear to me up until like almost the very last scene when Top Dollar was like, "Oh, the Crow." got to take out the crow. And I was like, oh, okay, I got it now. Okay, understand. Like,
I'll
that's
tell
like
you what,
okay.
in 1994, we had no idea what the fuck he was talking
Even
about.
I was sitting there like, why is he talking about like, killing? I thought the crow was like just a symbol of like, you know, whatever. Like he's back from the dead, and the crow was like a
sidekick animal.
Yeah, like an emotional support animal.
It's actually both, because
the
crow is actually the essence of his spirit, and the crow is actually the spirit that brings him back from, like Wendell said, from that doesn't let him go from this plane because he has something to do. The main aspect of that is love and vengeance. If you die in a horrible way, that it gives you another chance to correct what you're wrong with.
Right, exactly. So, to be honest with you, I was let me not to bring up like I'm gonna talk about side characters that I like. So first off, the cop had me cracking up the entire movie. The cop had me, he was funny the entire, because I was like, he seems like he wants to help him out. Like, he doesn't seem like he's really interested in arresting him. He's just kind of like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Like, what do you got going on, bro? Like, you just out here killing people for fun? You're making my job a little easier, so like, I'll just let it roll.
Their first encounter had me rolling.
Yo, hilarious, bro. I was like,
freeze. Well, man, I thought the cops say don't move. I'm telling you.
Yeah, the whole movie, I was like, yo, these two are just trolling each other back. But every time that he would disappear out of frame, he'd be like, he does that a lot, or like some stupid shit like that. And I was like, yo, this is the funniest interactions I've ever seen. He pops up in his apartment. He's like, gotta stop doing that. Dude's in his hat and his underwear. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
He said you still have your hat on.
You still have your hat on. I was dying. I was like, what the fuck? He's in his hat and his underwear. It's fucking hilarious. But yeah, I brought up some. I have a little slideshow that I put together here from the beginning, obviously, because I just wanted to reference it. So, obviously, again, I'm not really trying to, compare with the new one, but obviously, given the state of where we're at, like, I'm just going to. So, I do love the look that they gave Brandon Lee's Crow more from 94 than I even do. Like, Skarsgård is going to be a very modern take on this whole fucking thing. It's very, very modernized, but I actually really like the way they made Brandon Lee look in this movie. Like, it was.
So take note. 94, right?
Yeah.
What was big then?
Grunge.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Grunge rock. Kids were getting into this goth type business, but grunge was real heavy, and he was a part of a band. Yeah. So, if you notice, like when he put the gear on, where did he go? Into his suitcase that had his gear from his band days. So that's what he rocked. So I can, I agree. This is just a fantastic thing, but it is of its time.
It's of the time. Yeah, I get it.
And I think the other thing to remember is, even though this was kind of like a major motion picture, it really wasn't a major motion picture.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, sometimes less is more. The fact that they didn't have the money for some of the bigger effects that they could have used helped make the movie, because it made it dark, it made it scary, and it made it believable and whatnot. And that's the other thing that you got to realize with his, because when you look at his actual like grunge, like they could have really went hard.
Oh, for sure.
But, yeah, I mean, this is what they made from the budget, but it worked and it looked good.
Yeah. So as I just wrote through the slideshow a little bit here, so obviously this is the window where my man got kicked out of. So this is the scene where he goes back to the apartment and he figures everything out and his powers and all that. I will say, based on what we saw in the newer trailer, and obviously we haven't seen the movie yet, so I can't say yet. But if that's the way it's going to go down in that trailer, I like this one more already because the fact that they kicked him out the window. I will say that, because that whole kicking out the window thing and the girlfriend on the bed and tied up. Oh my god!
But you got to remember, like
different times.
He got put out the window after taking 2 to the chest.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say he took 2 and then he got kicked out the window. Oh, yeah. For that scene is brutal. On top of before that, he's also got to watch his girlfriend on the obviously.
Come on, look at this guy.
Nice set photo.
Yeah, nice set photo. The look is obviously what it is, iconic.
Tintin.
Tintin. Yeah, let me tell you something. Tintin also had me fucking rolling the whole time, bro.
What's my line here?
What did he say? Yo, I'm so bad with like off the cuff stuff. Oh, victims. Yeah, victims aren't we all? Yo, when for the times I'm sitting there watching and like these two obviously get into a scuffle and Tintin just like pulls out all the knives. He starts chucking them at him and he's just like dodging, blocking. I'm like, yo, for 94. I was like, oh, not bad. I was like, not bad. Yeah, it's what it is.
When he took off that long trench coat, boy,
and
he licked both knives, I was like, oh, this is going to be good.
Let me introduce you to two friends we never miss.
Oh man, yeah. So this, and then obviously they found Tintin with like what 30 knives in his chest cavity or some nonsense like that.
Crazy.
I was like, Jesus. I was like, that's a brutal death. And I love. Let me just say, I don't know how they plan on doing it moving forward, but I love the fact that after every kill, he was leaving a crow symbol either in blood or in fire. I was like, okay, like I was like, I can appreciate that for 94. I was like, that's some cool shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a marker.
Cool. It's his marker. You know,
it's a marker because you're basically checking each person that he needs to get at off the list.
Yep.
I will say I didn't put a picture of it. I don't think so. The thing is, if I had to rate this, well, first off, the scene where he went to, when he went to the two were hooking up. I don't know who she was. I was trying to figure out who she was the whole time.
It's Darla.
Yeah, Darla, but I don't know who she was. Like, I don't know what her.
She was. She's Sarah's mom.
She's Sarah's mom.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. Confused me the whole movie of who she was. I didn't know if she was the mom
because
or the aunt. I couldn't tell. I was like, I don't know if that's somebody who got custody of her. I couldn't tell the whole fucking time. I was like, it's driving me crazy. But I was like, okay, it's her mom. When he walked in on the two of them, I was like, oh, and then he took another 2 shots. Bop, bop. I was like, that didn't do anything. Yeah, you're in trouble now.
The joke is what got me. I still tell that joke to this day.
What was the joke?
The joke? Jesus Christ walks into a hotel.
Oh, yeah. Oh no, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I won't go through the whole joke, but yes.
Yeah, we won't go through the whole joke. It's fine. I will say the one that I didn't put on here was the one where he took the guy where he was in the backseat of the guy's car.
T-bird.
He had him at gunpoint. The T-bird, right? Again, for 94, I'm keeping in mind while I'm watching. I'm like, yo, it's 94. But the fact that he taped dude up to his seat and popped the fucking clutch, and made my man drive up into the thing. I was like, for 94, that's some fucking violence, man. Let me tell you something.
My man took the flare though. It's like stuck it, like he just popped it and put it inside his car. Like
he put his crotch.
Yeah, he's like,
he put in his crotch. He was like, peace. I was like, God damn.
Bye, son.
Oh man, yeah, that. So I was gonna say they made each one of his kill scenes like very memorable to me. Yes. I was like, every kill he had was memorable in some way, shape, or form. It wasn't a wasted one.
But the picture you have on screen here is probably one of my favorite parts.
Yeah.
All right, this is where he goes into Gideon's pawn shop.
To the pawn shop. Yes.
His time in that shop with that dude, I was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And he's pouring gasoline the whole time and shit.
Jumped onto the counter, jumped up into the air, hung upside down. My man spun around, swung the bat. He said, Mr. Gideon, you're not paying attention. Hit him with his own goddamn bat. Like, come on, man.
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. So good. Yeah, the pawn shop scene was very
I loved it.
Crazy.
Absolutely loved it.
I forgot about that, but that was actually a crazy scene too. Yeah.
It was a whole menace.
And then he lit the whole thing on fire while dude's running out the back door. I was like,
is that gasoline I smell?
Gasoline. My man made sure he took a guitar on the way out so he could go on the roof. I was like, this is classic. I was like, this is definitely classic. So like
poured the rings in the
yeah. So like this is the stuff I'm talking about. When he did stuff like this, I was like, all right, man, like listen, this is fucking cool the way that they did this. He made sure to let everybody know, like, yo, this is me. I don't give a fuck.
I tried that.
You tried this?
Of course he did. Freaking pyro.
I went outside.
Absolute pyro.
I got some lighter fluid. Yeah, I did that. Yeah,
how'd it work out for you?
It was pretty all right. It worked out pretty all right.
Don't let him near a fire. Don't let him near a fire pit. Don't let him
until I had to get the hose. But I mean, it worked out all right.
Okay, wait. If anybody's children is watching this, do not do what he did.
No kids on here.
If anybody's child is watching me review The Crow, you need to check your parenting skills.
And also, you got to remember, back in the '90s, kids were more wild because you actually, when you saw the daughter, she was always by herself riding a skateboard all over the place.
The kid was all in the streets, right on the skateboard. I'm like, somebody's gonna abduct you, child. What the? And I'm like, yeah, the '90s, you know.
Nobody abducts bad children.
Nobody.
That's true. That's true.
You get them back.
You can come back. Oh God. And when they started figuring out that he was from the ground, I was kind of like, all right, they're starting to figure out, you know. So this is I don't know his name, but obviously
Tony
you
Todd.
guys mentioned before Candyman.
That's Tony Todd.
It's Tony Todd, Candyman.
Venom. That's Venom, bro.
And Venom. You know, he had the. So let me tell you something. This whole little like pinky ring he had going on also had me cracking up. I was like, 90s cheese right there. He's got the pinky ring on with the nails, like 90s cheese.
That's right.
And also my man's gun was like the largest gun I've ever seen in my entire life. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. Again, 90s cheese. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know off the top of my head. Don't know what kind was it. Do you know?
I think it was the same gun that he had in the pawn shop.
It's a calico.
Oh, it's
Calico.
Which is popular in
it was popular in the
Calico was like the Desert Eagle of the '90s.
Yeah,
Everybody wanted a freaking Calico at that point.
That's what I'm saying though. Like I'm watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, there's some '90s cheese in here. You know what I mean? Like I could dig it. You know, I get it. I understand. You know,
the pinky ring, man. That pinky ring is a tester, baby.
That's exactly. I knew what it was. Trust me, I knew what it was. And we got my man here, Top Dollar. First off, with the glorious locks.
Oh, he played what's his face in Robin Hood. He played Sheriff Rottingham, didn't he?
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Did he?
Yeah, in the Kevin Costner version of
Yes, he did.
I was trying to remember his face. He played the sheriff.
Yes, he did. Yep, definitely did.
Yeah,
he
was a mother effer in that movie too.
Yep.
Oh man, so I didn't really know how to feel about Top Dollar the whole time as a villain. I was like, he's pretty cool, but like maybe not memorable enough for me. Like I don't know, like he was okay up until the final fight scene on the roof, where I was like, all right, it's pretty dope. Like the whole final fight scene that happened when it was pretty dope on the roof. I was like, getting 90 cheese, but like dope.
But
I enjoyed his nonchalantness.
He was very nonchalant the whole movie, and I was like, all right.
I enjoyed that about him. Like it was, you know. He got his excitement about some stuff, but he was cool for the whole joint.
But you gotta also remember one thing: you have a crime boss of a whole city, that has every crew under him. There's no way but to play it but cool. You can't be stressed out under these other jackals. You have to play it this cool, because you don't. You have to lay off the expectation that I could kill any one of y'all. I don't give a fuck. And I can put your underling on right where your spot is at. So he has to play it like he doesn't give a shit.
Right.
So that's what one of the main parts that I caught.
which he definitely did.
It's hysterical.
Which he definitely did.
Yeah, so he was, and then that, like I said, that last fight scene, this whole scene was also hilarious the entire time. But I was like, all right, he's
out this was his sister.
Mm-hmm.
Freaking classic.
Yep.
Some Game of Thrones shit going on.
That's crazy.
And I also now this is where I started. Okay, this is where I started to understand the symbolism. Gotcha. So I was trying to understand why the blade in the new trailer was so significant, and then this is where it started to make sense to me why the blade is so significant, because I was like, okay, this guy used the blade, and then at the end it played a part, and I was like, all right, cool, got it. Now I understand why they're implementing a blade in the new one to try and do tiebacks to the original. All right, cool, got it. So, yo, when he popped up when all of them were having their meeting, bro, I was like, on the table, the table scene, I was like, yo, this is iconic shit right here. This shit. When he took all them bullets, and then my man peeked over the thing, was like, he's gone. And he started taking people under the table. I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, well, that's what
the fuck is going on?
When we were watching the new trailers, and he comes up the stairs, and he's just like,
Well, see, now that made more sense because I'm like, okay, this is the new version of what they're trying to do with this. I'm like, I'm weary that this will always be iconic. This will always be iconic.
It is. It'll never.
Versus the new one.
It'll never not be iconic.
There's more to it because it wasn't this scene that he lost his life.
Right.
So it's on the second take of this scene is where
right.
See, now you guys
that killed him.
You guys fill me in on this. I was not aware that he until these guys told me before we started filming this that he lost his life making this movie. I'm honest with the YouTube crowd. I didn't know because I just didn't do that much research into it. But crazy.
There were a lot of shots.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of shots that were done prior to finishing this flick. Yeah. This was one of them. So like about 3/4 of the movie he did complete. When they filmed this, they did one take, great. And they did it again. And it was during that second take that one of the guns had a bullet that was lodged into it.
Bro.
And it popped and it got him.
That's actually nuts to me.
What's nuts is the same thing happened to his dad.
Yep.
Yeah. Really? I didn't know that either.
There's a whole conspiracy, man.
So it goes deep. It goes deep into it.
The whole conspiracy basically goes around the fact that Bruce Lee was teaching Westerners the martial arts, and apparently the triads and some of the schools from back in China did not agree with it. So the rumors were that there was actually a meeting where they asked him to stop, and of course he wouldn't, and they couldn't make him, and then they pretty much like marked all his generations for dead. So he gets killed by a bullet in a movie that he's shooting.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
These are all unsubstantiated
he actually got killed by a bullet. We just don't know who did it.
Right.
Unsubstantiated claims.
And then his son Brandon actually, befalls the same fate, which is just
that's insane.
There are
There
are no coincidences in this world.
Yo,
that's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. What I will say is that I don't think I didn't put a picture. I wish I would have put a picture of the roof scene, but I actually forgot to do that because I actually really did like the final whole thing with the church and the roof scene. I thought they did a pretty good job with that as well.
Top Dollar's death was epic.
Top Dollar's death was that my man fell onto the wings.
The gargoyle?
The gargoyle wings. I was like, or the horns. I don't know if it was the horns or the wings. It was one of the other.
The horn went through his face.
The horn went through his face, and I think the wing went through.
And the blood came out the mouth.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's. I was like, that was good.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, it's a way to go, bro. It's a way to go. It's a way to go. And then like obviously the whole ending. So like once they wrapped it all up. And like I finally started to figure out like because it actually took me the whole movie to really figure out like okay, the Crow's power, like Leo said earlier, was he had unfinished business here that he felt like he had to take care of, so therefore he got the power, and obviously it all had to do with love. And let me just tell you something. From what I will say, I'm gonna wrap this up on this note because I don't want to keep us here too long. But what I will say is, after watching this movie start to finish, I have a newfound appreciation for Brandon Lee. I have a newfound appreciation for the original because I will say this movie is definitely an iconic movie. I can understand why people hold this near and dear to their hearts and why they are scared of another reimagining / remake because of what this movie meant to some people at the time. For 1994, this is an outstanding movie. Like it really is. Even the scenes were done really well. Obviously for the time, everything was, I thought fight scenes were clean, choreographed, all that stuff. Like I had no issues with any of it. And the overwhelming, the arc of the story, I enjoyed every bit of it from start to finish. Like, was it a perfect movie? Hell no. But for the time, I was like, yo, this shit is iconic. So now this guy, Mr. Bill Skarsgård, has to try and take whatever script they gave him and make it his own version / their own version. And let me tell you something. I get why people are a little upset rethinking about it. Cause I'm like, yo, like, obviously this is a newer like take on it. All the tattoos, the mullet, it's a big change from what Brandon Lee was back in the day. So people are going to hold this guy on the left near and dear to their heart and say, we don't want that guy, even though he's a great actor, the way that they portray him to ruin this image on the left. Right. Well, I understand where people are coming from now. Yeah, I get it, but it's like, to me, I'm like, I'll still say what I've been saying in the comment section to all you people who I know are going to come here and probably watch this review. I still think you have to give the new version a chance, and even though it might not ever live up to this above me, it might be good in its own right, but we have to wait and see. That's all I'll say.
Okay, I want to say two things real quick. So the one thing is that we have to realize that because of Brandon Lee, who he was, who he's related to, and because of that he died making the movie, which was similar to his father, you kind of get some of the Chadwick Boseman thing happening like with Black Panther, where a lot of people hold this movie because it is attached to his father's legacy. He died the same way that his father did, and people hold on to that for that reason. And this is why I said, if you're going to go take this movie and do your own version, then call it something else. Don't call it the Crow. Call it the Dark Avenger. Call it anything so that it can stand on its own two legs, because it really probably is that good. But if you take something that people love, if they have attached memories to it, all the people that came from my generation who really loved Bruce Lee and was looking forward to seeing his son Brandon Lee in a movie, they hold that in their heart near and dear. So you're touching something with people that they value and whatnot. And that causes them sometimes, including me, to maybe not give it so much of a chance. But I will admit, Skarsgård looks pretty good in the last trailer. I'm trying to keep an open mind, hoping this thing looks, at least they changed the costume, they changed the tattoos and all that. So, I mean, they're trying to do something new. So we're going to give it a little shot.
Yep. Looking at them two next to each other, he's kind of giving me like Jared Leto Joker vibes now.
Stop. Don't say that. Don't say that.
I'm not, listen, I ain't gonna hold him, I like looking at it and it's still and it's not moving.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was
feeling. I was the first one to say, holy shit, I did not expect that trailer. So
it's the tattoos that's throwing me all off. And the fact that he's running around shirtless for the majority of the trailer that we were watching, I was like, man, are you trying to go too far?
But are we just a product of our
generation, right?
I was gonna say, we said it in the beginning, right? The 90s had grunge, right? So now this is the 2000s, not grunge because it's really not a thing anymore, but this is 2000s, like whatever you want to call it, like
punk emo,
punk emo, punkish, right? That's what Bill Skarsgård is in this fucking version.
Like the random tattoos all over the place. Oh my god!
But we also have to remember the Crow came in shirtless. The beginning of the show.
It didn't last that long, bro. But it didn't last that long. It was from the graveyard to his crib. Like seriously,
it didn't last long, but he was shirtless. Second off, I'm gonna check it.
We're getting real sus real quick.
Second off, we have when Brandon, the time between his death and his girlfriend's death was about 5 or 10 years has passed. When he came back, he didn't come back right away.
Right.
So that's another thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Oh, I didn't even think about that. But
I did forget about that actually.
He didn't come back right away. He didn't come.
It was a year later.
It was a year later.
It's 1 year.
I thought it was more than that because it was the detective said it was an unsolved case, and normally unsolved cases take about 2 years
ago.
For a year ago.
It was a year ago.
Okay. Right. Oh, I do remember him saying in the thing when he was speaking to people, he was like last year or something. You remember the couple in the apartment last year? I do remember him saying that.
That's what he told a year ago when he asked Tintin to tell him a story.
Yeah, exactly.
So that means that the Crows are taking their time and picking and choosing which ones are worthy enough to come back and finish with their unfinished business. But one thing I do have to say, if this is your first adaptation of Brandon Lee, please go watch Rapid Fire. If you want to see his father in his father Jeet Kune Do, go watch Rapid Fire.
I mean, I'll check it out. I haven't seen that.
And then you tell me if you don't see his father in that. And like we're speculating things that happened back then, and also in the other Crow adaptations that we have had, they have had tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they weren't Eric Draven's.
They weren't Eric Draven.
That's where the problems are coming.
That's where it's starting with
Crows were an Eric Draven. This is Eric Draven. They're redoing Eric Draven's story.
And this is what people
this is where the problems come in.
Because Eric Draven is the one from the book.
I'll tell you this. You know why there's never been another way Enter the Dragon? There's never been another Way of the Dragon, another Chinese connection.
They tried.
Those Fist of Fury? No, they didn't. They couldn't. You know why? Because those were all Bruce's stories. The Crow.
They did try to do those.
The Crow belongs to the Crow in itself belongs to James O'Bannon, James O'Barr. Right. He's the one who created the Crow.
Right.
Okay. So unfortunately, there is no control for the Lee family to say no, don't do this again.
Right.
And this is why it's here. This movie that you watched, Aaron, almost did not come out. He died. Really? He died. Paramount Pictures was the ones who originally were going to release this, and they said no when he died. It was like, forget about it. It's over. This man lost his life. We're not putting it out. His fiance at the time gave her blessing. The rights were given or sold to Miramax, and they're the ones who put it out. 1994, like I said, he died about 3/4 in the way when he filmed that table scene. There were still scenes to be shot, right? They pioneered that CGI face swap business.
Wow.
And a lot of that, and a lot of scenes in that movie. There was like a whole other character that never showed up. The Skull Cowboy. The Skull Cowboy was supposed to be there for him to explain to him what was happening. So they had to redo that thought process. Like, okay, we can't use the Skull Cowboy because that's a lot of face to face, and we can't create that. So that's why the movie hit as quick as it hit. He did this, he did that, he did this, he did that. As he was learning his power, he came into understanding it. Like, you know why he laughed when he fell off the building before he killed Tintin?
No.
Because he realized, I can't die. I just freaking fell off of a building into the garbage and I'm alive. I don't feel it. And that's what the laugh was for. He understood what he could do, or he started to understand what he can do. It's a freaking fantastic movie.
No, I
my
agree with you. And you saying that, I'm actually like, I hate, like, it's gonna sound like not so good to say, but I'm glad that his what'd you say, his wife or his fiance? I'm glad that his fiance allowed it to be put out. Because there's a wonderful little for Brandon and Eliza at the end of the movie. Yeah, I saw that too.
That's what that's about.
So like, I'm glad that because that will always go down as an iconic role. Probably, I'm assuming maybe his iconic role of all time. I'm guessing. I haven't seen him in anything else, so I can't say.
Listen, Rapid Fire was dope. I forgot the movie he was in with Dolph Lundgren. Was it like Little Tokyo? I think it was. He was in that. I think he did another movie. But if you say Brandon Lee,
you think
people say The Crow.
You instantly think of The Crow.
Yeah,
people say The Crow, and then you'll be like, he also did Rapid Fire. He also did this, but it's The Crow that people remember him.
And you have to remember, the author of the book had this story came out of fucking immense suffering because his girlfriend passed away in a drunk driver accident.
Yep.
Oh shit.
So this came out fresh.
It's deep.
So I guess, listen, I'm gonna end it off here in typical man. Like, I hate to put a number on an iconic movie out of 10, but that's what we do around here when we do things like this, like ratings. So listen, I'm just gonna call this what it is. From my perspective, watching this movie, this is like an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10 movie for me. This is an iconic movie. I enjoyed myself the whole time. I didn't think, these guys know how I am. They try to make me watch stuff from the 90s and the 80s from like when I was born. And I'm like, I don't want to fucking watch that. It's going to be boring. It's going to do this, it's going to that. This movie kept me entertained the whole way through. I couldn't believe the acting chops that Brandon Lee gave this entire time. Not to mention everybody else that, we did or didn't mention that also gave a hell of a performance. And every time I just sit there and go like, this is from the 90s. It's from 94. And like, the film it stuck with me. So like, it definitely resonated with me. So I'll say, for its time, especially, all-time classic movie to me, right off the jump. So, and I'll just leave it at that.
Man Cave approved?
Man Cave approved. Man Cave approved for sure. Man Cave approved for sure.
Gotta give the approval. You gotta give it the approval. That's what we do.
What a classic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us know, what do you think about The Crow, old and new? Are you excited about the new one? Or are you not? What should Aaron watch next? That's the real question. What should Aaron watch next? Let's see. I don't know. We're gonna have to figure it out. But from all of us,
haven't watched OG Superman. Haven't watched OG Superman original.
All right, we worked that out. Another video for another time, folks.
Another time.
All right, well, all right, Man Cave 101 podcast. Like, comment, and subscribe. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Apple Podcast, Spotify, Kick, Rumble. Live every Thursday, giving you all of your nerdy needs from all of us here. Take care. See you on the next one.
Man, bro.